Hello, Hippie Homework. This week I spoke about vulnerability, which is a very big topic, and it involves basically the concept of something that we dismiss in ourselves, we try and keep hidden and protected. And so we put in all these behaviours and ways of being in order to hide the fact that we don't feel good about a particular quality of ourselves. So if I was to take a simple example and say I had in my role as an accountant, I had like 9 different skill sets, and I was not an expert in all those different 9 skill sets. And so what I would have to do is quite often be vulnerable, and despite the fact that I was a manager, say, okay, I don't know about this, please explain it. IT in particular. I got IT, I have no idea about IT. And very often I would have this young kid explaining IT to me. It's like, okay, great, thanks for that explanation. Could you put it in English now? And so I'd have to be very exposed about that. But as a result, I created better relationships with people, and I got a better understanding about things. And over time, I did learn something. So very often too, in say personal relationships, we don't expose all of those aspects of ourselves because we don't want to be rejected. But the problem with that is often what we reject in ourselves has this strange way of playing out in the universe, so ultimately it gets rejected out in the world too. So what if we didn't actually do that? What if we stood exposed in something and said, I don't know this, or I'm not good enough at this, or I feel a bit frightened about this, or I'm anxious at the moment. It doesn't matter what it is. Find something about you that you worry about all the time and you don't wish people to know, and actually stand in that and explain it to another person in a particular situation and see how it changes the dynamics of that relationship by being that vulnerable. You might be surprised. In fact, it's one of the most powerful things that you can do for yourself and for the other person, because ultimately by accepting that vulnerability, you're accepting yourself in your total entirety, in your wholeness. There is absolute self-love in accepting that vulnerability. You are no longer rejecting it. You have to be whole. And then by giving that to somebody else, you're giving them the ability to care for that vulnerability and treasure it and treat it well, or it might expose their own vulnerabilities, which gives you also another opportunity to have a relationship with them that might be deeper because you understand them in a different way. You need to go to the newsletter to read that a bit. But worst case, you then get rid of people in your life that you think, well, you can't handle this properly, you can't treat me properly. And again, that can only make your life better. So by being vulnerable, you will 100% improve your life in some shape or form. So this week, do something just that makes you a bit anxious and expose yourself. Expose something to somebody. Pick the right person. Make sure it's a person that you know would have the ability to treasure that and look after it. Don't necessarily put yourself into a position that is too hard for you at the moment. But then if you've got something going on that's hard, and I asked a client to do this recently, he was having trouble with some relationships in his workplace, and he took a moment to be a bit more vulnerable and say, I don't have the answers to all of this. And then they became a team, and they actually improved their relationship and started working together way better. So give it a go. You never know what might come of that. I say it will be a greater, better, deeper relationship with yourself and other people. But why don't you go find out for yourself? Have a great week. Have a surprising week. Have a slightly tentative week as you do this. But enjoy it. Really enjoy it and appreciate it. And I will see you next week.